obviously the size of the dragon matters so much, so much.
This is what Rhaenyra refers to. So we see that you cannot control the dragon when it's out of control.
Like on how many dragons you have? How big are the dragons you have?
Yeah.
That's the question we need to discuss,
You need
because
big
I mean,
guns.
if you have like 10 dragons of this miniature size, there, it doesn't matter. At least one of them is gonna die, At least one of them is gonna die. Otherwise, we wouldn't even talk about this. Hello, friends of Game of Thrones and watchers of the House of the Dragons. Welcome to our spoiler review to the season final. And it's about dragons. The question is, fight or failure? Who actually controls the dragons? How many? And more important, how big are they? That's what we're going to talk about. So, I think the fight is on. And I mean, we get to the end of the season. We get to the season final, and at the end of the season final, you kind of think like, okay, now the battle is starting. It's a cool cliffhanger, but I think I've kind of waited for this for the whole season. How about you guys?
Yeah, I mean that the dragons started to fight. That what was quite, yeah, and kind of sad, but also impressive how the scale difference between those dragons are. I mean,
Absolutely. And that makes me think that this discussion that I had earlier, like how many dragons do we have? Fuck on how many dragons you have. How big are the dragons you have?
yeah,
That's the question we need to discuss,
you need
Because
big
I mean,
guns.
if you have like 10 dragons of this miniature size, there, it doesn't matter if you have like 2 or 3 dragons of this giant size against on the other side,
But then
I
again,
mean,
if they don't obey your commands, then the
that's
question
the other
is,
question. And who
yes,
are they following? And are they following in the first place? Yeah.
Rhaenyra already mentioned it. She said that if dragons fight, you have fire all over. Everything's burned. So she doesn't want to rule ash and, corpses.
Kind of like a quote we have from, I mean, they put this character really close to the original Daenerys before she was all crazy. Oh, spoiler here, but we said it's spoiler. I say it's also spoiler for Game of Thrones. You've watched Game of Thrones. You're not watching this, and you haven't watched Game of Thrones. Seriously,
we spoil everything today.
We spoil everything. It's like there's no limits. Come on. Everybody knows the ending of Game of Thrones. Even if you didn't watch it, it was spoiled all over the internet, I guess. But anyway, so
yeah, apart from the dragons, there's also the death of Viserys Valerian. So he's quite sympathy.
He's a sympathetic character, yes. And
yes.
But I felt like, I mean, it seemed like, this could go well. She's just going to send him. It's not far away. She said all those nice things. And when it was said in a way that you go like, don't you know you're in a Game of Thrones movie? If somebody says, oh, it's easy, just don't worry. It's, you're probably going to die. I don't know. When she sent him, I saw like, this is no good. I mean, at least one of them is going to die, At least one of them is going to die. Otherwise, we wouldn't even talk about this.
So the question is she being naive if she sends them, or is it a sacrifice or none of it? So it's very strange.
I think it's a sacrifice. She did not expect him to die. And I think it could be reasonably said that, I mean, that she would send him while at the same time, the dragon of somebody, such a much more powerful dragon would be there at the same time. I don't know what the chances were. I mean, it makes sense that the enemies would send their people to make contact with other leaders, and maybe they would also send them with dragons. Yes, but I'm not sure she could have expected that. Even though
that's why I thought she was naive, probably.
Yes, but I mean, I'd still say, what are the chances? I mean, they have 3 dragons or something like this, or 4 dragons.
4 dragons, I believe. Yes, and
yes. The other. Would they send all of them away on errands? I mean, she sent 3 dragons to 3 places, but they have like 10 dragons, or what was it?
13, I believe.
13. So that's quite a lot. So she can afford to send 3 dragons away. Would the enemies afford to send 3 dragons away to all those locations? I don't know. So I think there was a little bit of bad luck involved. And then not only bad luck that there was a dragon, that there was a dragon that was so much bigger. I don't know how big the other dragons are that I don't know what to call them, the
other dragons?
The
other dragons?
No, I mean like the people who just crowned the king.
Okay.
King's Landing's people, or I don't know what you want to call those.
The green.
The green ones. Let's call them the green ones.
Yes.
The green ones. How big are the other dragons? The green ones have. So is every of their dragon that size? And I mean, I know they have some bigger dragons. Rhaenyra, her company. I think Daemon's dragon is bigger.
Yeah.
Clearly, Rhaenyra's dragon is bigger.
But what I think, I mean, we saw that giant dragon in the cave. We haven't seen the dragon before, I believe, and they have shown it for a reason, I guess. And I believe we will see a fight between those. Yeah, we will actually see a fight between the dragons, but they both have.
We already did.
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
not
but
much of
it
a
was
fight now.
quite unfair. Come on, the large dragon just chewed that small dragon into pieces.
I think the 14-year-old boy would have had a better chance winning in a sword fight than the dragons. Than his dragon against the other big dragon.
Yeah.
Well, then that was quite unfortunate that they met, because Viserys is also the one who cost Aemond his one eye. So
yes,
it's for drama, of course, but they could probably not foresee that.
Not what are the chances?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and here's one thing. Just while we're at the loss of the firstborn, I think of Rhaenyra, we have this beginning, like the first half of the movie. It seemed was about this birth scene and the dead child, and I think that was so unnecessary.
Yes.
I mean, it does nothing for the story because this child has no effect. So if we just assumed she was never pregnant, it never happened, it would have made no difference. It may show that she's a little bit tough going through birth, but I mean, all women who go through birth are tough one way or the other, I guess. We made it clear that she might die in the process, and I thought maybe they're doing that to complicate the thing even further. Because we have seen a couple of other women die during childbirth, so maybe that, but that would have been like a waste of a character, so obviously they didn't do that.
Yes, and maybe they wanted to show that she's tough because after the child death, she still has herself, in control.
But I think that was so unnecessary.
Yes,
so
of
much
course.
Gore.
It's
also like a cheap way. I mean, a cheap way to create emotions, which
it's artificial. It's artificial. It doesn't fit into it.
Yeah, well, it does fit into Game of Thrones. They show us sometimes really bad and the raw stuff of the evil side of life. But still, I mean,
it didn't fit in.
It was just done for emotional effect that has nothing to do with the story. And I think it's killing infants for that effect. I mean,
that's why I called it artificial. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, even if like in Game of Thrones, we had the scene where where they talked about the mountain killing infants, smashing them against the wall or something like that, which is really, really bad, but they didn't show it. They talked about it, and you get an emotional reaction of how evil the mountain is.
Yes.
And at least it does something to characterize the mountain. Here, I think it doesn't do a lot. I mean, we already knew she was kind of tough. I don't think it makes her tougher in any way. It does nothing, and it's just also from the viewer's experience. I had to sit through this for it felt like half an hour, and nothing. This was not enjoyable to watch. It did do nothing for my viewing experience.
It's not logical that she didn't want any help from the midwife. So
yeah, but it does not. I mean, just honestly, just from I mean, how do you guys feel, and how do our viewers feel? It does not. It's not like, oh, I go like, yeah, wow, that's fantasy. That's what I want to see on screen.
Yeah, in my opinion,
No.
it was a little bit too much. I mean, if they wanted to achieve, that's what I think, is partly at least, to show that she lost her child because of the message of the crowned, what is he called? Aemon?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she had those difficulties because of that, but they didn't need to
No, and I
stretch
mean,
it out
she,
that much.
she no,
So,
they didn't need to do this, and
yeah.
I mean, the emotional impact of the dragon, the big dragon munching the small dragon, and her first one, that's so much bigger. No, it's not so much bigger, but it means it's like with that you didn't need the other one. I mean, that was also a gory scene, but it made sense in the context to show it. And I
Mhm.
don't mind that. I don't mind it if it makes sense. But here it was just like it dragged us through this. It was painful to watch, and really didn't like it, and it did make nothing to make this an enjoyable fantasy series, and we have
Mhm.
too much of this shit. I'm basically complaining here about it. No, I really think it was uncalled for to have this included.
Yeah, I'm totally
I
with
think
you. Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
if it was meant for be symbolic foreshadowing of the loss of her other child, again, like, come
Yeah,
on,
and
Yeah,
that's
maybe
that's
not
the
doing
this
thing.
it.
would explain the death of the dragon as well, but it's not necessary.
Yeah.
No, it
What
didn't
for?
do much. It was not like
Yes.
some clever symbolism where you're like, oh wow, it's just like gore.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, about that. But let's talk about dragons. I mean, obviously the size of the dragon matters so much,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
I mean, why do we even start to compare numbers when sizes are really the relevant thing? And that we should actually, maybe we'll uh,
Yeah.
check
Well,
out and find out what the
that's a
sizes are,
one.
maybe even in another video.
That's a one thing, but if you imagine that a small dragon would fight at a battlefield in one country, whereas the other dragon fights somewhere else. So if you have dragon against dragon, then size matters. But if it's not dragon against dragon, but dragon against army, then fuck the size. You know,
I'm not
just
sure. I
fire.
mean, how much more fire and how much more devastating is the fire of a big dragon? That's a question that is
Yeah,
yet
sure.
unanswered.
You have to let him fight against a small army. But anyway, yes, I
Mhm.
guess both is important: the number and the size.
But I think the
So
size matters
and
significantly. So just,
if
like,
you yeah, and dragons are not invincible. So we remember Game of Thrones,
that
Daenerys.
was a new thing. Until
Mm,
then, they were considered to be near invincible.
yes, yeah, okay.
Even the
Until
small
then.
ones, but
Mm.
certainly the big ones. So, I mean,
But if you think about it, why invent a new thought like dragons are not invincible only 170 years later? So maybe that was the first time dragons were used to war. I don't think so. But
no, but,
anyway,
but I think until then, the assumption was that certainly a big dragon is pretty much invincible.
a big
Um,
one, yeah,
yeah,
yes.
that's how they portrayed it, because it was a big wow, oh, we can actually fight a dragon thing, when the alchemist guy or whatever he was um revealed that he had this huge crossbow trebuchet kind of thing.
Hmm.
No, not trebuchet, it's a ballista kind of thing, sorry.
Hmm.
um with which you could shoot down the dragons. That was a big invention, and it didn't exist before, so I assume that makes a difference here. But also the control of the dragon is very, very important. First of all, um Lucerys lost control of his dragon. I mean, he's still a child, so maybe that he's also not so experienced, I guess. But also, Aemon lost control, and even though he seems to be a genuine asshole, I mean, yes, he wants revenge, but I think trying to say to somebody, "Poke out your eye," that's pretty tough.
We see in the scene when Daemon sings a lullaby to this big dragon to get his eggs or her eggs, whatever.
Yeah.
Dragons need to be soothed in a way, and they are in control, not a rider. So this is something we see it again and again, and this is what Rhaenyra refers to. So we see that you cannot control the dragon when it's out of control, and it's easy. And it's easy to get out of control.
Oops, that happened. I'm sorry. So he wanted to kind of, what did he want to do? He wanted to frighten him, but he did not want to kill him. I mean, what did he like? Try to poke out his eye from a dragon's, from the back of a dragon, or I don't know. What did he think the outcome of this confrontation would be? You know,
I have absolutely no idea, but yeah.
He wanted to humiliate him, and then Boros said, "Not in my hall." So, and then this sort of got, I don't know.
I mean, he was already humiliated when he had to flee, pretty much.
Yes, and Aemon didn't stop at the right moment.
Yeah.
He get on.
Is he like genuinely? Is he genuinely? Is he generally sorry about this, or how will this play out? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm really interested how it will play out, but I believe we are at war now, and of course we are at war. There's no doubt. So
yes.
Yeah, and I'm interested in how it will turn out. And if they really start a dragon fight and start fighting each other with the dragons, and even if Rhaenyra said that she doesn't want a dragon fight, or if dragons start to fight, that everything is in ashes. I believe it is enough now to force a reaction from her.
Oh well, I think that was pretty sure. I mean, now the fight is on. I mean, that's for sure, I think.
Well, it took 10 episodes, so
yeah.
let's
so
wait and see.
It will start in season 2. Yay!
I think they wanted to just clearly show that she was.
And also the foreshadowing. Maybe it was foreshadowing that Otto Hightower brought the page from the history book from episode 1, I guess, or 2 maybe, when Rhaenyra ripped off this page of the history book and was dreaming of fighting and, that stuff. So maybe this was a foreshadowing of it, but then we've been waiting 10 episodes, so.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, I think before this, I thought maybe she would come back with her own conditions. She would say like, yeah, well, we can have peace under certain conditions, but I'm queen, and I'm gonna pardon you guys, something like that, But on the other hand, I didn't think she might do that because she's just not the person. But anyway, I think now the fight is on. And how do you think this exactly will play out? Will this be an attack? Will they do the barricade thing? I think that's all the big questions. And I wonder what you guys think, and I wonder what our viewers think. What will be the opening of the new season? I think it's a cool cliffhanger, and it's got me hooked on the new seasons. I want to see how it plays out. Some parts I found a little bit lame in the first season, but now I hope that now we get something interesting.
Yeah, I think also that the fight really starts now, and it starts to get exciting in some sort. But yeah, I just can say that the fight of the throne now begins, because we now have 2 kings, so to say.
King and a queen, yes.
Yeah, of course.
Rivals.
Yeah, we have rivals here, so I'm looking really forward to the second season. Yeah.
Yeah, I also look forward. I'm a bit disappointed about some things, but then again, let's get on with season 2. And whereas Lord Corlys, they have won back a mighty lord and warrior. So let's wait and see how it turns out. I guess we have to wait until 2024 because it's not even yet started to produce the next season.
But that's maybe a good thing because now they can take some of the criticism and actually make it better.
Hopefully.
Don't give us like time jumps of 10 years all of a
Yes.
sudden and stuff.
Mhm.
So maybe they can listen to that advice. Probably not from our channel, but I think a lot of people have said that. So hopefully it gets better and they learn from their mistakes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
we're looking forward to the comments of our viewers.
What
do
are
you
you
think?
looking forward? Please tell us in the comments.
Yeah, and don't forget to watch our other videos and other reviews, of course, if you're interested in. Leave us a comment, like, subscribe, and click the bell. And see you hopefully in the next video.
See you
See you in
soon.
the next video.
Bye.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye bye.